This is PA Camping Dad Doogie. I'm gonna do another video of some DIY project, and that is a pack cover. I just got a new pack and did not come with a pack cover, and the covers that they offered were only in muted tones, and I often go hiking during hunting season and wanted something that would act as a notification that I'm not something to be hunted, not a target. And I'll get into it. Basically, I did some measurements on the pack and looked at other pack cover sizes. I also wanted to make this available as a gear hammock when not being used as a pack cover. So I'm incorporating a couple different designs. One from the ULA, their pack cover. I think I'm going to incorporate their fastening system. And then Just Jeff's Hammock Camping page, he has a link to some of his DIY projects, and he had a pack cover that did multi-duties, the gear sling, some other uses, water carrying device, sink, basically anything for a waterproof piece of material. I'm going to be using sil nylon in a blaze orange, and it also, a similar pack cover, I think Jacks Are Better sells Just Jeff's product, so be fairly close to that. So I went for larger dimensions. I believe I started with a square rectangle of fabric, and my rough dimensions to start with was 44 1/8 by 57 1/8, and it looks like that'll leave me enough cut off from the full width of the roll to incorporate a stuff sack made out of the same material, which I think I will attach onto it. So the first thing that needs to be done is the corners. I decided to have a continuous bungee elastic cord going around the perimeter, and I mocked up on a scrap piece of sil nylon that I had from a previous project how I'm going to make the corners so that the elastic cord can go all the way through the corner, and I'm going to show that now. So to start with, I measured up from the corner 1 5/16 inches on each side and cut that off. And then what I'll do is I'm going to form all my hems by doing approximately a 3/8 inch roll or fold over, and then a larger roll to form the channel. I'm going to have to put the camera on a tripod to show, but one of the things that I found in making my mock-up here, so this is an edge and this is a corner, and I initially had stitched all the way from my roll down, and what I found, I made these marks here, I think I'll go to this mark, is you can't stitch all the way to the corner, because if you do, it then closes off this section and you won't be able to get the elastic cord into this channel from this channel. Hopefully that's clear. I made a similar mark here. Let me put the camera on a tripod and see if get a little better, more clear. Okay, so maybe you can see here what I'm talking about. So I did this corner, and when I formed this rolled hem, so I folded in about 3/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to complete the channel by, I think I measured it something like 11/16 of an inch, but I'll make a channel about like that so that I can feed the shock cord through easily. And you'll see if this was stitched down all the way out to here, you can see here's my stitching from before, it completely blocks that channel, and I would have to have the shock cord come out here and across, be visible in this area. And I think I'll do that on one of the corners. I will go ahead and leave the shock cord out because I need a place to have the cord lock and to be able to pull and tighten up the loop, and then I'll make a continuous loop that goes around all the other corners. And as you can see here, if I'm still in frame, I just have my little loop turner here. It can come out, but if I am a little careful and get it down underneath, there we go. I had to back up far enough. Now I'm coming through that channel too, and the shock cord will be captive in this channel as well as the edge channels. So now it's just a matter of going around to these corners, every corner, trimming off the corner, doing one small fold. Of course, the sil nylon is lots of fun to work with, and then a larger fold to produce a channel. And you can pin it if you wish. I normally don't pin. It did get me into trouble when working with sil argon on a large tarp, and I had to go back and pin, but especially for these short ones I'm probably not going to bother, and I'll just run the stitch line. So I need to start back from the edge, and I'll provide a measurement how far back from, I guess, from this corner that I'll start. But you can see this will be the first roll, will come to here, and then my channel will come out to here. So I definitely need to keep this will all be folded, so you need to stop back here. It's only going to be probably an inch of stitching in the middle here. So I've got my fold in here, my hem ready, and I'm going to start the stitching just under an inch from the edge on each side. So I'm probably going to stitch it from about here and only to about here. So just stitch the center there of each side, or of each corner. I'll go through that and stitch it. So I'm all lined up on my first mark. Do a little lock stitch there. Come down to my next mark. One more stitch. Lock that off. And there's my first corner done. And you see when this is rolled up, it's critical that this side, this is where the elastic will be coming through here, because this will all be folded up in the seam, in the hem. So it's going to be entering in through that area there. So I'll do that to the other three corners. One of them obviously won't be so critical about keeping it short because you'll be coming out anyway, but I'm just going to not worry about which corner. I'm going to have the cord lock on one of the bottom corners. I'm not sure which, but we'll go ahead and do that to the other three corners. Okay, so here I am set up to sew the first rolled hem channel, and basically the way I do all my hems is I got it under there, it started, so I get my first fold set up, and then I just keep a little tension on it, keep it so it's lined up. I can see where that I got a nice roll through there, and I sew just a few inches at a time normally. And I'm all set up there. grip. Make sure I got the first fold in. Keep it all nice. And just work my way down the full. You see here I'm coming up to my end. My folds all in place and they're lining up good. And one channel done. And see that I can go right through. Get my loop turner here. Should be able to go right through that corner and into the long. And I actually may feed through the corners as I go at least a fish piece of cordage. I don't need to order my 1/8 inch shock cord. All I have is 1/16 right now in stock. So I think I'm going to use 1/8 inch. So probably in the meantime I'll just feed some braided Mason's line through, and at least that'll give me something to pull it through easily. Do that on the 3 more sides and come back later. So I'm not sure if you can see this, how well you can see it, but now I decided to feed the cord. I just have some braided Mason's line here, beautiful pink, and I'll use that to pull the shock cord through when I'm done. So it was a lot easier, I think, to go through these corners while I had access to at least one edge of the corner. So I did my first, went through first corner, the long edge that I just hemmed, and second corner, and now I just started here feeding, keeping the cord in the channel as I sew. And it's a nice way to do it because it makes sure that you have enough of a channel, because the presser foot is going to ride, you see the cord is riding right here on the outside here, and make sure that I have a comfortable channel for the cord or shock cord, elastic band or whatever. And of course sewing is just the same as before. I gather up my seam for, I don't know, 8 inches or so, but of course this time you need to make sure that you have your cord in there as well. But it's really just the same process. So as I approached the corner, I just took this end and fed it through there. I didn't even need to use a loop turner, which just shoved it right through. And now I will very carefully, as I do this last seam, I need to have one folded down, only about that much, and then I make my rolled hem. And so here, just once I have it pinched down, I just keep a little tension and let the machine pull it through. Got a little pucker there that good enough. And there we are. Halfway done. Now I've got to pull some more cord so I got enough to go all the way around. So one thing that I said wrong when I talked about how I put through the cord to start, Actually, I did it wrong. I said it how I did it, but I changed it. So the first corner that I started at, you should not start the cord in, as long as that's the corner where you're going to want your cord lock at the end. So you go over the first corner panel, then into the first long side hem, work your way across the top. Here I am coming across the bottom to this corner, and I'm not going to want to bury this like I did on the others, because this is where I'm going to have my cord lock. And so I just wanted to clarify that. So when it comes to this, I just left the cord out instead of feeding it through before I got to this corner. Again, dress my hem how I've been doing it. And I'm done with the channel. How it is now, you could use it as a rain cover, but I'm going to add a couple grosgrain tie-outs in the corners and a couple along the side and one in the center of the bottom, and then I'm going to add a stuff sack in the center of the bottom to finish everything up. I'll be back when I'm set up to put on the grosgrain loops. I just put it on my pack to see how it would come out, and I haven't put the elastic in. I just drew the cord up, put it in position, and want to see what it looks like. I'm going to look at these videos myself, since it's kind of hard to look at it while I'm wearing it. But it looks good as far as I can tell. So to form the loops that I'm going to put in the corners, put one on already. I just took a piece of grosgrain and cut it on a bit of an angle, just spread them so that they would be side by side. Of course, you want to flame the edge just so you don't have any unraveling. And I splayed it apart like that so the stitching wouldn't have to go through double layers of it in addition to the fabric in the corner. And it actually worked out pretty well that it kind of fills up that whole corner. Make sure that my loop is out of the way. My cord in there. And just stitch it down. That's all there is to it. Do that on every corner, and you'll be all set. So to determine the size of my stuff sack, I just took the pack cover and shoved it in a Ziploc bag and squeezed most of the air out. I didn't want to get it too crammed in, and cut a size of fabric that I thought would be comfortable. Should be pretty good fit there. It looks like it is raw size of 11 by 8.5 is what was left over on the edge after I trimmed my first piece off the main part. So the way I'm going to finish this is I'm going to make a channel on the top, so very similar to what we've done before. I'll roll that down, and I think I'm going to dress the ends in so that I'll probably flame treat it too. And I'm going to fold the end in a little bit so that there's a fold there. It's not going to be sewn. I don't know, maybe I'll see if I can sew it so that it is completely no raw edges. And then after I perform that fold, just roughly, I'm gonna my one fold came out, but just fold it in half, and then I'm gonna stitch these edges. Normally I would do a rolled hem on these, just so that nothing unravels and has any exposed edges, but I recently obtained a serger, and I'm going to go ahead and serge these edges, and that'll be easier to do my channel. I won't have to worry about the rolled hem interfering with the channel, and gives me a chance to play with the serger. So that's the plan right now, and then I'll worry about attaching this onto the pack cover itself afterwards. I think I'll probably stick a little extra piece of fabric in under this lip and have that be the attachment point. When it's stored, you'll flip it around the right side out, and it'll all have nice hems, no exposed hems, and then when you deploy it, it'll be inside out, and the stuff sack will just get stuffed in under the cover itself. Anyway, that's the plan. So you see here I folded down the top edge, and then I just folded in the corner, put a little tiny stitch there, and that'll be so that once I sew the channel, and then I can come back and stitch up this edge and not close in the channel for my cord lock for my drawstring. Alright, I'm going to stitch that up. Well, I completed the sack. Actually, when I was serging it, one side shifted a little, so I ended up sewing in this one, so I just melted a hole in the channel to get into there. I ended up, this side worked out like I had wanted. And you see the serger does a nice job on that seam. So now, turn this right side out, and I'll test for size. And yeah, we're finished with the sack, so that's the size of it. I'll weigh it later, put measurements up. Now I need to replace the static cord with the shock cord that just came in today. So I need to decide if I'm going to use the 1/8 inch shock cord or the 3/32. I'm thinking the 3/32 should be plenty, but I have a camp out I got to get ready for, so I think it'll be a little bit before I really finish this. Alright, well, I'm coming down to the final steps here. I marked the center of the bottom short side of the pack cover, and what I'm going to do is take my storage pouch and I'm going to attach it onto the inside, what I feel is going to be the inside of the cover, and I marked it ended up being a 4-inch swath, and what I'll do is I'll attach it. So I'm going to sew from there to there, catching both the pack cover and just one half of the pouch. So I need to just get that part through the machine. I'll set that up in there. I think in this case I probably will pin it. Alright, so I believe I'm all set now. I'm on my starting mark. A little lock stitch. Coming down to the end of my stitch line, make sure that I'm still clear underneath. And that should be it. I normally have been trimming my threads and leaving about 1/8 of an inch or so, and then melting them with a lighter very carefully. I kind of like that because I smear the melted polyester into it when I trimmed a little tight, but I'll give you a quick example here. Try to make it so that only my thread will be susceptible, and then I just melt it down and touch her in. You want to be very careful with this because all your fabric is meltable as well. And I find if I just do it as I go along, it's not too tedious. I'm only doing 3 or 4 at a time. Now the only thing left is for me to make my final trim of the elastic cord. I left my full 25 feet that I purchased. I ended up using the 3/32 cord. So I think this was just some initial guesses of where I might want it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give myself this much extra on each side. So I'm going to slide this knot down a little. I just made that so I didn't accidentally pull something through as I was feeding it around. So I think what I'm going to do is go with something like that. Again, I'll melt the ends of these. Not so nice. You get the lovely rubber smell. But you really want to melt it so that it doesn't keep unraveling on you, be a mess. So it doesn't take much to fuse it. That should be it. So I think at this stage, probably also going to replace this with a regular plastic cord lock. This is just a one that I pulled off an old something I was throwing out, but for now. Well, the pack cover is all completed. So what I decided to do here at the top was I have my grosgrain loops there, and I leave a little carabiner on one of the loops and just clip it to the other, and I go underneath the load lifters here and over the strap, and that keeps it nice and tight and still allows me access to the lifter loop. And then at the bottom, very similar. Again, these are just the corners. I thought I was going to need to put other tie outs on the side, but I didn't end up doing that. Didn't need it. So I do the same thing, just clip these two corners together above the waist belt, and the elastic holds it up nice and snug here, and you can actually see my pouch is just stuffed in there, and that's how it rides. Now I just keep that stuffed in, and if I leave these carabiners on opposite corners, then I can use that for my gear sling if I decide to use it for that. And it also helps me see which corner is which when pulling it out and deploying it. Obviously I know the one with the cord lock is the bottom, and the sack is at the bottom. But I'm pretty pleased with it. And other thing that I forgot to mention is that when I pack this up now, I found that I can leave one of the carabiners out, and I cinch it up, and it gives me a place to just clip it onto my pack, so it's always ready. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it like that, or whether I'll stuff it in an outside pocket, or you know, put it in this pouch here. But I thought that was a nice option. So hopefully the way that this then will work is you take your pouch and invert it and stuff the whole thing in. And I believe I left two carabiners on it right now too, which I liked for holding it on the pack, just the extra security. Probably will decide if I'll continue to use them or just go with the elastic alone. And that is the final project. One pack cover. Get out there and have fun.